Hey, what's up, friends? Welcome back to the Undiscovered Games video podcast, where we take a look at the lesser-known board games of the world and share those with you. Now, since I love looking to the past to find these old and forgotten games, I want to focus on a board game publisher today that's doing that as well, and they're actually bringing some of these old games back, and that makes me very excited. The publisher is called Playte Games, and they're out of South Korea, and I've been very impressed with the direction that this company is taking lately. They're sort of reprinting and freshening up some of these older and forgotten board games and making them available again at a very reasonable price point. And they're doing all this without the flashy Kickstarter campaigns and without the overproduced bits and things like that. They're just keeping these reprints very simple and straightforward. They're packing everything into these small, compact packages, and they're preserving the original gameplay, the original flavor of the game. They might change the art a little bit and things like that, but they're not completely remaking the games, and that's what I love to see. So I just wanted to take a moment and applaud Playte Games for what they're doing, and they were kind enough to send me 2 of their games to take a look at. So I have to disclose that up front. That's why you'll see the paid promotion tag on this video. But don't worry, I'm not going to start doing a bunch of paid promotion videos here. I just really thought these 2 games specifically would appeal to my audience that enjoys these undiscovered games. So we're going to take a look at Big Shot, which was originally released in 2001, and Sardegna, which is the reprint of Playte, originally from 2005. Now, you might remember I covered Playte earlier on this YouTube channel. I believe it was episode 14. I did a full tutorial of that game, and if you want to use that video to learn how to play Sardegna, you can use that because they did not change the rules as far as I can tell. Now, the other game we're looking at is Big Shot, and this is a game that I completely missed up until I tried this edition, but this, like I said, was from 2001, designed by the great Alex Randolph. It's an auction and area control game, 2 of my favorite mechanisms, and I have to give a big shout out to Board Games with B7. Now, he recently started his own YouTube channel, so I definitely recommend checking him out. I'll put the links in the description below, but B7 has been recommending Big Shot to me for a long time, and I was really excited to finally try it out, see what the hype was, and I gotta say, B7, you were absolutely correct. I have been loving this game, and I'm excited to talk about it later in the video. But first, I want to talk about Sardegna. Like I said, Sardegna is the reprint of Playte, originally from 2005, designed by one of my all-time favorite game designers, Stefan Dora. And this is an area majority game on a map. You're just moving pieces around, trying to get majorities. And what's awesome is all the different pieces have a different function. Players basically just take turns playing one action card from their hand to affect their pieces on the board and get in the best possible position for the scoring rounds. What's interesting is the players determine when those scoring rounds happen. One of your action cards is simply trigger a scoring round. So the scoring can be triggered at any moment, and it creates an awesome tension throughout the entire game. I absolutely love this game. It's in my top 20 games of all time, and that's why I'm so excited to see this back in print. In my earlier episode of Playte, I was screaming at the end, please somebody reprint this game. I don't know if Playte saw my video or not, but maybe they did, and I am just so excited they reprinted it and they kept the gameplay the same. Now, they did change the map layout slightly from the original map, and I haven't really noticed any differences in the strategies or how that has changed the gameplay at all. So if you have noticed a difference in strategies from the new map versus the old map, definitely comment below. I would love to read about that. But so far, I have not noticed any major differences in how I strategize when I play this. And one of the best changes they made in this edition is they added icons to each action card. In the old printing, you had to refer to the player reference sheet to even remember what your action cards let you do. Well, here they put these very simple icons on each card, so when you play it, you remember exactly what that card lets you do. That is a huge improvement in this Sardegna edition. You'll also notice the box size is significantly smaller than the original Playte, and I don't know how they managed to fit all this game into this tiny box. Part of the reason is because the game box is the game board, and that's really cool. It's an innovative design. It uses this magnetic clasp thing, and you unfold it just like this. There are 2 halves of the game board. You set them together, and the magnets in the board actually help hold the 2 halves together. And I have to say, it sits really flat on the table. You might see all these folds and be like, oh no, that's not going to sit flat, especially when there's 2 halves like this. But I was really surprised at how flat this board actually sits. You know, when you first unbox it, you need to kind of mess with the folds a little bit, bend them backwards, and just kind of lay it flat on the table and let it sit for a minute. But once it's unboxed and open on the table, it really does lay nice and flat, so you don't have to worry about, all these folds and whatnot getting in the way of the gameplay. Another thing that they kept the same is all the action cards function the exact same way. Now, they did change a couple of the names of the cards, like the old card used to be called Castellan, and the new one is called the Sentinel, and I really like the Sentinel. That's a pretty cool name, and they changed a few others too, but they all function the exact same way as they did in Playte. But just if you're watching my video on Playte and you see me talk about the Abbot in that video, well, that's the same as the Priest in Sardegna. So just some minor changes there. They included these really handy player reference sheets for everybody. Those are really helpful. And as you notice, they kept the original flavor of the game by providing these awesome wooden bits. I love wooden bits in board games, and the Playte bits are really chunky and big. I will say these Sardegna bits are significantly smaller, but they're still very functional. They're not fiddly. I love that they kept, all the different shapes, like the houses and the ships and the pawns for your villagers. They did change the shape of the forts and the abbot, or I guess it's the priest in this edition. The priest has this little hat looking thing on top, and that makes it really easy to pick up and move. If you remember in the Playte version, the abbot was the pointy piece, and that was very slippery at times to pick up and move around. So this one has a really nice ridge on the end there where you can easily pick it up and move it. Another nice change is the forts. The forts used to be just a straight cylinder piece, but now they look like little castles, and these are probably my favorite wooden bit in the whole game. These are really cool. They look great when they're out on the table. So I really like the wooden bits. The color choices are great in this game. There's no conflicting colors, and I gotta say, there's a really nice table presence here considering how tiny this box is. I mean, this box fits in my wife's purse, so it's kind of cool to have Playte to go. We can take it wherever we want to go and set this up, and it really does pop when it's on the table. Again, it is significantly smaller than the original, but it doesn't take away from the flavor of the game. I really like how charming this production is, and I just think it's awesome that this game is back in print. Now, if you want to see a more detailed side-by-side comparison of the new components versus the old components, check out Board Games with B7. He did an awesome comparison video. I'll link that in the description below. So now I want to move on to the other game from Playte, and this is called Big Shot. And once again, I completely missed the boat on Big Shot until recently. When I got this, I played it, and I was like, how did I miss this game? This has everything I want in a board game. It's auctions and area majorities combined into a very streamlined idea here. Super simple rules, player-driven decisions, very interactive, and I'll go out on a limb and say this could become one of my favorite auction games ever. Now, I have to play it more, I'm still in like the first impression stages here, but I've played 4 times so far, and I've loved every single game, and every one of them has taken less than 1 hour. So I love how simple and smooth it is. It's very interactive. It can be cutthroat at times, and I just think it's such a neat auction game that needs to be discovered. So if you've never played Big Shot, here's what it's all about. So each player has 18 cubes in their player color, and these are all thrown into a bag or something and randomized during setup. You're going to place 4 random cubes onto each one of these. There are 18 lots of 4 cubes. So your cube colors are going to come out differently every game, and this is really what drives the game and makes it so different every time, along with, the player-driven decisions as well. So anyway, once you set up the board, you're going to give each player 10,000 money to start the game, and then you have to randomly choose a starting spot for this little purple guy. The purple guy just shows which set of cubes is being auctioned off this round. So after you set him on a random space, you're ready to play the game. But I need to explain the game board. You'll notice the board is divided into all these different sections, and these are called lots. So each lot is worth a certain number of points showing in the middle. Like this lot here is worth 21 points, where this lot up here is worth 11 points, and so on. The points are going to be awarded to the majority player in each lot. So whoever has the most cubes within that lot when it gets scored is going to get these points. So how do you score these lots? Well, throughout the game, as these cubes are placed around the board, as soon as a lot has 7 total cubes in it, it gets scored immediately. Whoever has the most cubes in that lot wins the lot, and they put their little sold marker here like this, and that's just end game points, and this lot is sort of closed off for the rest of the game. Now here's the twist. When you're determining who has the majority of cubes, if there's a tie for first place, well, those players cancel each other out, and then it goes to the next place player. So if like red had 3 cubes, yellow had 3 cubes, but blue only had 1 cube, well, red and yellow have the majority, but they both have 3, so they cancel each other out, and then blue becomes the winner of the lot with only 1 cube. So that little twist in the rules makes this game awesome. That's my favorite rule in the whole game. You're always looking for little opportunities to force the other players to waste their cubes, cancel each other out, and then you sneak in with like 1 cube and win control of a lot. So anyway, how do you get these cubes out on the board? Well, that's where the auctions come in. Play is always clockwise, and once you determine a start player, give them this D6. On your turn, you always start by rolling the D6, and then you just move this purple guy that many spaces. So if I roll a 3, I just move him 1, 2, 3 like this. The purple guy just follows these arrows and moves in a big circle around the outside of the board. This is going to determine which 4 cubes are up for auction this round. Whoever wins this auction gets to place these cubes wherever they want on the board. So you're just bidding for the right to place these cubes. The auction is a standard round-robin auction, and the auction starts with the player to the left of whoever rolled the die. So if I roll the die, this player starts the bidding. So they might say, 1,000. The next player says 3,000. The next player says pass. I say 4,000. This player says pass. This player says pass. I win the auction for 4,000. So I have to pay my full bid to the bank. The other players keep all their money that they bid with. And now that I won the auction, I can place these 4 cubes anywhere I want on the board. So I just place them out, let's say like this. Then the next player goes. They roll the die. They roll a 4. They go 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we auction off this set of cubes. So the player to the left of them starts the bidding. They might say 3,000. This player says pass. I say 4,000. This player says 5,000. They pass, I pass. This player wins it for 5,000. They place these cubes wherever they want on the board. Now remember, I said as soon as a lot fills up with 7 cubes, you score it right away. Whoever wins the lot leaves one of their cubes there to show that they won the lot. You just put this sold token around it like this, and then that lot is like off limits for the rest of the game. So you have a limited number of cubes. You want to spread yourself out, try to win as many lots as possible without wasting cubes, tying for majorities with your opponents, because the tied players are always going to cancel each other out. So this is one of those games that starts with a wide open board, completely open information. Everybody can see everybody's cubes out here, but the board develops differently every time. As these auctions happen, the board fills up and you have to react to where your opponents are placing your cubes. So it's an entirely player-driven game. I love those types of games, and it plays out differently every time. And, it's kind of hard to value these lots up front, but as the cubes go out, these auctions become very, very meaningful because, you have all the control of placing these 4 cubes. You can, close off an area and guarantee that you're going to win it. You can lock other players out. You can cause other players to tie with each other and cancel their cubes out. Lots of meaningful decisions in these auctions, and it ramps up pretty quick. Like the first couple rounds, the board's wide open, but as soon as those cubes start getting placed, suddenly you have a laser focus on every auction that's happening. So I love how fast the game ramps up in intensity. Now you might be wondering, how do you last the whole game with only $10,000 to start out? Well, that's where the loans come in, and this is another big part of the game. It's a really cool mechanism. Once per round, you're allowed to take 1 loan from the bank. You take this card. The first loan you take is worth $9,000. They withhold 1 for interest. So you take out a 10, but you really only get 9. You leave that card in front of you. Then later in the game, if you want to take out another loan, you take a card. Now you only get $8,000. The next loan you take, you only get $7,000, and so on down the line. So the more loans you take, the less money you get for each loan. Then at the end of the game, each loan you have is minus 10 points from your score. So you lose the full 10 off your score for each loan, and that is a brutal and punishing part of the end game scoring. You think you're doing awesome, you think you get all these points, then you got to subtract 10 for each loan that you took out. Now let's talk about the end of the game. The game ends after the 18th auction, which is, every set of cubes out here gets auctioned off. After that, you're going to do some end game scoring. First, you're going to get points based on, the lots that you won out on the board. Any lots that haven't been scored yet are going to be scored right now based on how many cubes are there. And you use the same rules. It's just you don't have to be maxed out at 7. So whoever has the most cubes in, each region that hasn't been scored yet, they get the points. And again, you cancel out if there's any ties. Finally, you're going to get points for any leftover cash that you have. That's positive points. And then you have to take off 10 points per loan that you have saved up. And that's your final score. Now, one thing I forgot to mention is you'll notice these ×2 lots on the board. Now, the way these work is these are going to double all adjacent lots in that region. So you go by the color here, like in this blue region, this ×2 lot is going to double all these adjacent lots in blue if you own both. So you have to own the ×2 lot. You had to win that one. And you had to win, the adjacent lots. So if you win the ×2 lot and then you win this 11 lot, that's going to be worth 22 points. So that's kind of a little push your luck there. Can you win the ×2 and an adjacent lot? I really like that part of the game. But my favorite part of this game is the fact that every auction here is meaningful. Even if my color cubes are not up for auction, I still have an interest in winning this auction because I get to place these cubes. So I can really mess up my opponents. I can force them to tie each other for majorities and waste those cubes. So there's a lot of opportunity to screw over your opponents in this game. It's very interactive. It's very cutthroat. It's my kind of game. Now, it might not be for everybody because of that, but remember, this is only a 45-minute game or so, and it's so simple to learn and teach, and it's quick to set up. I can't imagine too many people getting upset after playing a game of Big Shot. So there you have it. Big Shot gets a 9.5 out of 10 for me. That's a first impressions rating. I haven't tried it yet with 2 and 3 players, so I want to see how it plays at the other player counts. But at 4 players, my first impressions rating would be a 10 out of 10. I like it that much. This is an awesome mix of auctions, area majority, 2 of my favorite mechanisms, and it does it so elegantly, so smoothly. Lots of tough decisions, when to stay in an auction, when to save your money, when to take out another loan, even though you're going to get less and less money every time you take out a loan. It's a tense, exciting type of a game. It packs quite a punch in under 1 hour and in this tiny little box. So there you have it. That's Big Shot and Sardegna. Both of these are in print and available right now at Playte Games. I'm going to put the link in the description below to their eBay store. I believe they ship worldwide, and they are very friendly. I've been dealing with them as I, got these review copies sent to me. Very professional, very friendly, and I gotta say, very fast shipping coming all the way from Korea. Now, I can't guarantee that, but I'm just saying in my experience, I've had nothing but good things to say about Playte Games. So definitely keep that company on your radar. I heard through the grapevine they're going to be reprinting another old Stefan Dora game that's been out of print for a while, so I'm really excited about that. It's just cool that there's a publisher out there that likes the same types of games that I like, and they seem to be reprinting them, and they're doing it the right way. They're doing it affordably in these smaller boxes. They're not changing the game designs. They're just making them available again at reasonable prices. So there you have it. That's Playte Games. Again, they sent me these games to review, but they did not give me any scripts or anything to go by here. This is all my own words, my own experiences, and I just wanted to share these 2 games specifically because I know the Undiscovered Games audience out there will love Big Shot and Sardegna. I was scrolling through their store on eBay and I noticed they had some other awesome games that I love, like Can't Stop by Sid Saxon. That's an absolute classic that they have available. They had High Society, the Reiner Knizia auction game. Love that game. And I even saw they have a printing of The Rose King, which is a great little 2-player game that I've been wanting to feature here on this channel for some time. So it's cool to see that game back in print as well. So that's all for this episode. If you want to support the channel, make sure you're subscribed right here on YouTube at undiscovered_games to learn more about lesser known board games. We focus on the older, forgotten games that just flew under the radar. That's what this channel is all about. If you want to support the channel even further, there is a digital tip jar in the description below. It's just a PayPal link. You can donate any amount you like. That just helps motivate me to continue to release content on a regular basis. I do not expect that, but it is there if you want to help out. There's also a super thanks. There should be a button for that below on YouTube. That's another way you can help the channel. The main way you can help the channel is absolutely free, and that is make sure you're subscribed, make sure your board game friends are subscribed here on YouTube, and you can follow me over on Instagram as well at undiscovered_games. I post a lot of written reviews and cool pictures over there, so make sure you give me a follow on the IG. And that's all for now. I'll be back with another great Undiscovered Games episode in a couple weeks. We'll see you then.